"Uncle helps my mommy, she is dying," said the girl beggar millionaire. He discovers that he was his abandoned and humiliated ex-wife by her old family. Phoenix's scorching sun, Arizona, fell on the cracked asphalt when Lily Martinez, a 9-year-old girl, held her mother's trembling hand. Elena, his brown eyes, identical to those of the parent, reflected a mixture of hope and despair. Elena, once a promising young lawyer, was now just a fragile body consumed by a relentless disease. Her previously black hair was thin and gray, her face marked by pain and abandonment. A few kilometers away in a luxurious office in downtown Phoenix, Michael Thompson, a 45-year-old millionaire from the real estate, closed another billionaire business without imagining the fate that awaited him. The Thompson family represented one of Arizona's most influential dynasties. Founded by Michael's grandfather during the expansion of the West American, the family empire built in lands and properties seemed unshakable. Lily breathed with difficulty holding a wrinkled paper with an address. Their simple, clearly donated clothes contrasted with the hardness of the urban environment. That scorching afternoon, fate plotted a reunion that would forever change the life of Michael Thompson. Elena knew her time was running out. His secret, kept for years, weighed more than his own illness. "I needed Lily to find Michael before it was too late." The night before, in a moment of lucidity between fevers and delusions, Elena had told her daughter fragments of her story, a narrative of love, betrayal, and silent revenge that awaited the right moment of hatching. 20 years earlier, Elena was a young lawyer newly formed when she met Michael at a legal congress in Los Angeles. Love was instant, marriage, a fairy tale that lasted only 2 years. The Thompson family, traditional and influential in the West American, never accepted Elena. Too poor, they said. When they found out she was pregnant, they plotted her destruction. Documents were forged, witnesses bought, and Elena was accused of fraud she never committed. Expelled, humiliated, lost everything. Your diploma, your reputation, your marriage. Michael cowardly signed the divorce papers without even questioning it. Lily represented not only her daughter, but her last chance of justice. "Find Michael Thompson," Elena's last words before fainting again. "He needs to know the truth before I die." The girl, determined, held the only document that could connect her to her father, an old yellowish marriage certificate. At the other end of the city, Michael was preparing for another business dinner, completely oblivious to the approaching whirlwind. A phone call would change everything. One meeting was about to rewrite the story of 2 decades of lies, secrets, and family betrayals. The Arizona desert, a silent witness to stories of transformation and resilience, seemed to whisper that something grand was about to happen. Phoenix, a city built amid the Arizona desert, perfectly represented the contrast of the story of Elena and Lily. Modern skyscrapers emerged amid arid landscapes, symbols of resilience and adaptation. Elena Papadopoulos Martinez, 38, was the epicenter of a story of survival. After family betrayal, he had become a tireless fighter. He worked as a cleaning lady, seamstress, any nozzle that could guarantee the livelihood of Lily. Her law training, once promising, had only become a distant memory of an interrupted dream. Lily carried her mother's determination in her eyes. Intelligent and insightful, he had learned early on the importance of persistence. His school notebooks, always well cared for, were his treasure. Even with all the difficulties, he had excellent grades, dreaming one day to be able to help his mother. Michael Thompson represented the archetype of the modern American entrepreneur. Son of a traditional Arizona family, he built his real estate empire with a mixture of cunning and ambition. His penetrating blue eyes said a lot about his character, calculating but not completely insensitive. The Thompson family was known for its influence on the business circles of the West American. His patriarch, Robert Thompson, had built an empire that crossed generations. For them, weddings were strategic alliances, and Elena had represented a threat to this meticulously constructed system. William Henderson, the Thompson family lawyer, was the architect of the machines that destroyed Elena. A 60-year-old man with eyes always alert and a smile that never reached his gaze. Each forged document, each bought witness, had been meticulously planned in its office in downtown Phoenix. The neighborhood where Elena and Lily lived, South Mountain, brutally contrasted with the world of Michael. Simple houses, narrow streets, homemade food smells mixed with the odor of hope and daily struggle. Elena's disease was an advanced cancer. His doctors at the public hospital had already declared that there was not much to do, but his determination to reveal the truth before he died exceeded any medical diagnosis. The documents Lily carried were more than roll. They represented Elena's last hope: a marriage certificate, some old photographs, and a letter never delivered. Fragments of a story that expected to be rebuilt. Robert Thompson, knowing that someone could expose the family's secrets, would move all his contacts to prevent any revelation. Its power went beyond business, penetrated Arizona's political and business spheres. The city of Phoenix seemed to breathe the tension of this story. The glass skyscrapers, silent witnesses of tragedies and rebirths, observed the unfolding of this family drama. Sarah Rodriguez, a social worker who accompanied cases of vulnerable families, would be an involuntary key piece in this story. His attentive gaze and compassion would be fundamental in the next events. The American West culture of resilience, second chance, and reinvention seemed to be about to be tested in this story. Lily's first step to find Michael was meticulous. In the public library, using a borrowed computer, he started researching information about the Millionaire. Its small but determined fingers sailed between news sites and corporate profiles. He quickly discovered that Michael would be the main speaker at a real estate event at the Phoenix Convention Center. The opportunity seemed perfect. That night, Elena got worse. The doctor of the public hospital was exhaustive. Without immediate treatment, she would not resist more than a week. Lily's urgency multiplied. The next day, the girl wore the best she had, a beaten but clean dress. He got money for the bus ticket, selling some school books and asking for help from a joint neighboring. The convention center was a completely different universe from its world. Executives in very expensive suits, women with jewelry that probably cost more than anything I had ever seen in life. Michael was on stage, speaking about real estate expansion in Arizona. His voice was firm, his gestures calculated. Lily watched him, identifying traces of similarity to her mother in the old photos. The first obstacle came quickly. Security guards prevented any approximation. Lily, however, would not give up easily. Sarah Rodriguez, the social worker, was casually at the event. Something in Lily's particular gaze caught her eye. A professional instinct made her look at the girl more carefully. At that moment, a phone call would change everything. It was from the hospital. His mother had worsened and requested her immediate presence. Elena's urgency seemed to transcend any physical barrier. At the same time, Robert Thompson received a report from his private investigator. Someone was tracking information about Michael's past, specifically about his marriage to Elena. The Thompson family moved as a unique organism. William Henderson, the lawyer, began preparing a series of documents to block any possible investigation. Lily didn't give up. On the way out of the event, using all his child cunning, he managed to deliver an envelope to Sarah Rodriguez. Inside was an old photo of Elena and a brief note. "We need to talk urgently." Sarah, touched by the girl's determination, decided to investigate. Her work with vulnerable families had taught her to recognize stories of pain and hope. The conflict gained complexity. Elena, in the hospital, fought against time. Her condition was critical, but her determination to reveal the truth seemed to keep her alive. Michael, intrigued by the mysterious envelope that Sarah handed her, asked for investigations. Its legal department began a silent scan without imagining the earthquake that was about to trigger. Lily's record began to circulate among the corporate departments. A seemingly unimportant girl had gotten something that few would dare: draw Michael Thompson's direct attention. Robert Thompson realized that he needed to act quickly. A discreet call for the hospital director could solve Elena's problem definitely, but something stopped him, an instinct that went beyond business. At the hospital, Elena began preparing Lily for what her last testimony could be. Documents were hidden, whispered secrets. The girl should be prepared for any scenario. Sarah Rodriguez decided to investigate on his own. His professional history and social connections could be fundamental to unraveling the mystery. Jennifer Martinez, the neighbor who helped Lily, kept a secret that could change everything. Former employee of a law firm, she had witnessed compromising documents about the divorce of Elena and Michael. Sarah Rodriguez discovered in her professional files records that suggested manipulation in the lawsuit that destroyed Elena's career. Each document seemed to contain a piece of a complex puzzle. At William Henderson's office, Thompson's lawyer, a secretary named Linda Peters, began to feel remorse. Ancient files kept evidence of manipulation that she herself had helped hide. Michael Thompson had a younger brother, David, who had always questioned the true reasons for Michael's divorce. His investigative journalist instincts were alert to something wrong in family history. A crucial detail emerged. Elena was not just an ordinary lawyer. Before being processed, he was investigating a real estate fraud scheme that indirectly involved the Thompson family. Robert Thompson was not only worried about Lily. An old court case shelved years ago threatened to resurface. It was a land dispute that could expose questionable real estate expansion strategies. David Thompson, driven by professional curiosity, began investigating on his own. Your contacts in investigative journalism could be crucial to unraveling the truth. Linda Peters, the secretary, decided that the time had come to break the silence. Confidential documents stored for years could be the key to unraveling the truth. Jennifer Martinez was preparing to witness. Your knowledge about the behind-the-scenes case could be fundamental to unmask lies. Sarah Rodriguez has developed a strategy to protect Lily and Elena. His social work would be crucial in this investigation. A shocking detail arose in the archives. Evidence that Elena's disease could have been caused by stress and deliberate manipulations. The investigation network intertwined as a complex maze. Each character kept a fragment of a puzzle that could destroy the Thompson empire. David Thompson, driven by a sense of justice, began preparing an investigative report that could expose the whole truth. Linda Peters risked her career by deciding to reveal what she knew. Your documents could be the key to unraveling years of manipulation. Jennifer Martinez represented a crucial witness. Your testimony could connect important points of the story. Sarah Rodriguez used her entire network of social contacts to protect Elena and Lily, understanding that the story went far beyond a simple family case. In the next morning, Elena went into critical condition. Doctors considered their survival unlikely until dawn. Lily, desperate, knew her time was running out. At that exact moment, a phone call would change everything. Linda Peters, the secretary of William Henderson's office, decided to break her silence. He called David Thompson, the journalist, revealing documents that proved the manipulation in the divorce process of Michael and Elena. At the same time, at the hospital, Sarah Rodriguez discovered something shocking in Elena's medical record. Evidence that her medical condition had been deliberately manipulated. Michael received a mysterious envelope from Lily. Inside, besides the old photo, there was a USB stick with explosive information. By connecting it to your computer, a series of documents began to reveal itself. The first document was Elena's original marriage certificate. The second, a detailed report on a real estate project involving land expropriations in Arizona. The investigation form prepared by its legal department about Lily revealed something unexpected. DNA tests kept secretly confirmed their fatherhood. Robert Thompson realized that he would lose control of the situation. Your contacts would not be enough to contain what was about to happen. In the ICU, Elena momentarily recovered consciousness. He called Lily and whispered exact coordinates from which crucial documents were stored. "If something happens to me," she said, "use this to prove the truth." Sarah Rodriguez was called to protect Lily and preserve the evidence. His professional archives contained elements that could completely dismantle the Thompson empire. The definitive turning point happened when David Thompson, the journalist, got direct contact with Michael. He presented documentary evidence that the family had not only destroyed Elena's career, but was also involved in a real estate corruption scheme. The pieces began to connect as a complex puzzle. Michael found that his family had forged documents to prevent Elena from revealing a much larger scandal. It was not just a matter of divorce, but of a conspiracy that involved high real estate and Arizona political echelons. The recording Lily found revealed an even deeper secret. Elena had discovered, before being processed, a corruption scheme that connected the Thompson with local politicians and real estate investors. In the hospital, a dramatic moment unfolded. Elena, in her final moments, recorded a video for Lily with all revelations. If I died, the truth would be preserved. Michael was confronted with reality. His ex-wife was actually a heroine who had been silenced, and her daughter was the only evidence that could destroy the family empire. Sarah Rodriguez became Lily's guardian, ensuring her safety and preserving the evidence. David Thompson prepared a report that promised to shake the power structures in Arizona. Linda Peters, the secretary, provided the final documents that would close the case. Jennifer Martinez, the neighbor, was preparing to witness, revealing crucial information about the case. The first 48 hours after the revelation were explosive. David Thompson, the journalist, has published a series of investigative reports that shook Arizona's political and business structures. The Thompsons saw their empire collapse in a matter of hours. Michael, shocked by the revelations, made an unexpected decision. He decided not only to make Lily's paternity, but also completely collaborate with the investigations. Robert Thompson was immediately convened by the prosecutor. Their lawyers, for the first time, failed to create a defense strategy. The tests were irrefutable. Elena, in a critical condition at the hospital, became the symbol of resistance against corruption. Its history moved the whole Arizona. Newspapers, television, social networks, everyone talked about the wronged lawyer. The discovered scheme involved deviation of public funds, fraud in real estate bids, manipulation of official documents, bribery of civil servant Sarah Rodriguez, the social worker, assumed Lily's tutelage, ensuring her protection and well-being. Linda Peters, the secretary who broke the silence, was recognized as a heroine. His testimony was crucial to dismantling the corruption scheme. Arizona's judicial system collapsed. More than 12 politicians and 18 entrepreneurs were summoned to give testimonials. One of the greatest real estate scandals in modern history was being revealed. Michael made drastic decisions, donated 50% of family heritage to charity institutions, created an indemnity fund for the victims of fraudulent schemes, publicly assumed the mistakes of his family. Elena, even weakened, was transferred to the best medical treatment available. His state of health, although critical, showed signs of improvement. Arizona universities began to use the case as an example of resistance and professional ethics. Elena became a symbol of integrity. The international impact was immense. National newspapers highlighted how a personal history had exposed a complex network of corruption. David Thompson turned his investigations into a bestseller book, detailing the entire plot of corruption. Lily was enrolled in the best Phoenix school with full scholarship, becoming a symbol of overcoming. Sarah Rodriguez created a support program for families victims of judicial manipulation, inspired by Elena's history. William Henderson's law firm was completely dismantled. His fraudulent practices were publicly exposed. 3 years after the revelations, a new scenario was designed for Lily, Michael, and the survivors of this story. Elena, recovering from experimental treatment, has become an important legal consultant for corruption reports. Her personal experience had made her an expert in defending the vulnerable. Lily was enrolled in the best Phoenix school with full scholarship. His academic performance surprised everyone. The girl who once fought for survival was now seen as a symbol of resilience. Michael completely redesigned his business performance, created a real estate transparency institute, using its influence to promote structural changes in Arizona's business system. The indemnity fund created by Michael had already reimbursed more than 300 families impaired by corruption schemes. Each penny recovered was transformed into opportunities for vulnerable communities. Elena began a pioneering treatment, showing promising results against her cancer. His willpower seemed to challenge any medical prognosis. The university where Elena had graduated from giving lectures on professional ethics. His case became a milestone in the legal history of the West American. Lily has developed a social project inspired by her own history, created a mentoring program for children from needy communities, helping them transform adversity into opportunity. Robert Thompson, after losing almost all his power, was sentenced to 12 years in prison. His assets were confiscated and redistributed to social programs. The impact of revelations has generated a wave of legislative changes in Arizona. New real estate transparency laws have been passed, inspired directly in the case of Elena. Sarah Rodriguez received national honors for her role in the protection of Lily and the exhibition of the truth. His social work gained international recognition. David Thompson turned his investigations into an award-winning documentary, which was exhibited nationally and generated debates on ethics and corruption. Linda Peters, the secretary who broke the silence, opened her own ethical consulting office, inspiring other professionals to denounce irregularities. Jennifer Martinez has created a support NGO to families victims of judicial manipulation, using her experience to help others. The Arizona stock experience has experienced a reconfiguration. Companies began to adopt more transparent policies, fearing being exposed as the Thompson. An international documentary about the history of Elena and Lily began to be produced, promising to expose globally the case. Lily began learning right with her mother, dreaming of following her steps as a defender of the vulnerable. Its story inspired young people throughout the state. The institute created by Michael had already trained more than 300 young people in transparent governance practices. Elena published a book about her journey that quickly became an international bestseller. Each page was a testimony of resistance. Arizona universities began to use the case as a study of professional ethics and personal resistance. Tension began to accumulate when confidential information suggested that other members of the corruption network had not yet been completely exposed. David Thompson, the journalist, received an anonymous envelope containing documents indicating international branches of the Thompson scheme, connections with real estate groups in other states, and possible connections with construction mafias. Elena, recovered and stronger, began preparing a legal strategy that could trigger global consequences. His investigations pointed to a web of corruption much more complex than initially imagined. Lily has developed data analysis software using artificial intelligence techniques to cross financial information. His talent for technology was as impressive as his resilience. Michael mobilized his international contacts. Lawyers, journalists, and compliance experts began to meet, preparing the land for a global exhibition of criminal schemes. A crucial detail emerged. The Thompson was not just an isolated case, but part of a criminal network that had been operating for decades in the American real estate market. Sarah Rodriguez brought new documents that revealed connections to high-ranking politicians in at least 5 states. Each paper was a piece of a complex puzzle. The investigation team discovered financial transactions tracks that connected Thompson's scheme to tax havens in Nevada and Florida. Linda Peters, the former secretary, prepared a denunciation strategy that promised to shake the established power structures. Their documents were meticulously organized, each file a potential weapon. An anonymous source within the federal judicial system contacted, suggesting that the investigation could have even deeper branches than imagined. Lily has developed an algorithm capable of tracking suspicious financial movements. Its technological genius began to draw the attention of national universities. Elena prepared a complete dossier, documenting each step of the investigation. If something happened to him, the truth would continue to be revealed. Michael has completely reorganized his business structure, turning his company into a model of transparency and corporate ethics. Rumors began to circulate behind the scenes of power. Something big was about to happen. A revelation that could definitely change power structures in the American real estate market. An intriguing detail arose. Evidence suggested that the corruption scheme was linked to international real estate speculation and money laundering business. Sarah Rodriguez intensified the protection of Lily and Elena. Your network of social contacts would be fundamental in the next events. The Department of Federal Investigations began to show interest in the case, suggesting that history could gain national proportions. On the morning of September 15th, everything exploded simultaneously. At 6 a.m., federal investigation teams triggered Operation Transparency, an action coordinated in 12 states. More than 187 arrest warrants were executed in less than 3 hours. David Thompson, the journalist, broadcast a live report that paralyzed the United States. Elena and Lily's documents revealed a corruption scheme involving 37 high-ranking politicians, 29 national real estate groups, 14 money laundering networks, illegal transactions exceeding $1.7 billion. Elena, dressed elegantly, witnessed personally in the federal court. His narrative was surgical, each word a precise blow to the corrupt structure that had destroyed it decades earlier. Lily presented the technological tests. Its financial tracking algorithm had been fundamental to dismantling the criminal network. Universities from all over the country recognized her as a genius technology. Michael, in an act of unprecedented courage, personally delivered all the compromising documents of his family. His testimony was crucial to condemn the real culprits. At the height of the trial, a dramatic moment. Robert Thompson, handcuffed, stared at Elena. It remained impassive, its dignity greater than any revenge. Revelations shook power structures across the country. Governments fell, companies were dissolved, political careers were destroyed instantly. The economic impact was immense. It was estimated to damage over $3.5 billion in discovered fraud. Linda Peters received federal protection. His testimony was considered the most important to dismantle the criminal network. Sarah Rodriguez became a symbol of social justice. Their arguments about protection of complainants would be studied for decades. During the trial, Elena gave a historical discourse. Truth, when emerges, cannot be contained. No matter how long it takes, it will always find your way. Lily, at 13, became a worldwide icon. His image represented the new generation that would not accept corruption. Investigations revealed connections with real estate speculation schemes that crossed continents. Robert Thompson was sentenced to 45 years in prison. His assets were confiscated and redistributed to social programs. The world was shocked as a personal story of a mother and daughter had triggered a revolution against real estate corruption in the United States. The international media called the case the Fall of Thompson, a milestone in the fight against impunity. David Thompson published a bestseller book detailing the entire investigation, which quickly became a reference in investigative journalism. Universities began to use the case as a study of ethics, resistance, and social transformation. 6 months after the trial, a new panorama was drawn. Elena was invited to teach law and ethics at national universities. Its history has become a case study for students from all over the country. Lily received full technology scholarships. His financial tracking algorithm was considered a revolution in the investigation of corporate crimes. Michael has created a foundation dedicated to promoting business transparency and supporting young talents from vulnerable communities. The United States experienced deep political transformation. New compliance and transparency laws have been implemented, inspired directly in the case of Thompson. Sarah Rodriguez has published a bestseller book on the protection of complainants, inspiring others to break the silence. The institute created by Michael became a national reference center to combat corruption. Young people across the country were trained to develop research mechanisms. Elena continued her medical treatment, each day representing a victory against cancer and against the adversities she had faced. Lily developed technological projects that allowed the tracking of suspicious financial movements, becoming a world reference in technology and ethics. The history of the family has become a symbol of resistance. From victims, they became agents of social change. Robert Thompson, in prison, had lost all his power and influence. His empire, built on lies, had completely collapsed. The investigation started by Elena continued, revealing deeper and deeper layers of systemic corruption. David Thompson remained his journalistic work, inspiring a new generation of researchers. Linda Peters became a consultant in corporate ethics, using her experience to prevent future irregularities. 5 years later, Elena, Lily, and Michael were still united. More than reconstituted family, they were partners on a global mission against corruption. The girl who once asked for help on the streets of Phoenix now was a young scientist, a fellow in the world's largest universities. His investigation algorithm had become an official tool in government agencies. Elena, completely recovered, divided her time between lectures, legal consultancy, and social projects. Michael had transformed his story of shame into a transparency and ethics empire. Their story had proved that the truth, when persistent, always wins. If you are enjoying our stories, subscribe to the channel, comment, and leave your like. Don't miss this story that is going on the screen. I'm sure you will like it. Until the next video.